Okay, what's up, boys? This is our like fifth attempt at this video. We're doing with the question and answers that I've been doing. I have my brother Max here to answer some of them.
Hello.
We didn't get very many questions on the last one, but I hope that's because I forgot to ask for them. So I'm going to ask you if you have any questions for Max or I, because we can do these together. It's pretty easy. We live together. Neither of us are busy people ever. So if you have any questions for either of us, leave them in the comments of this video. So, Max got 2 on his Instagram, I've got 4 on the YouTube, and that's the plan for the day.
Sam, as you're the programming guy, what is your opinion on daily undulating periodization versus block periodization?
I would say that my diplomatic answer is that they are not mutually exclusive, and that most people to some degree are doing both. Usually, if you're doing daily undulating, you're not running the exact same week over and over. So there is some form of blocks to your training, I would assume. So I would say that they're not mutually exclusive. I think they're both perfectly valid strategies. I think that block periodization can be meshed really well with daily undulating periodization. The idea of having volume specific sessions is nothing new. I think it's just like we have a new term for it. That's something people have been doing for a long day and just calling them light days. I don't know. I guess that's my thoughts. I just don't have a versus because they're not, they overlap, right? So I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that.
And I also don't have a good answer to that.
Cool. What's the other one from Instagram?
I guess we'll both answer this. Do you have any long-term strength goals? That's the first half.
Yes.
Yes, though I don't talk about them because it's weird.
Yeah, you look like a fucking dork half the time if you say them.
Yeah.
So, yes, we do.
Though my usual answer is to be the best I can be, and I just think that's a lot. And do you plan on doing a meet soon?
Me.
I think that's towards me, but I think you also should address it.
Max was going to do one right before he turned 18 to try to break the record for the heaviest sleeve total done below 18, but that got canceled due to COVID. That was one of those things, like, we were on pace to have a shot at it. I don't think it was a guarantee. Who has the record?
Cole.
Cole? Big Cole?
Cole Smith, previous athlete
yeah.
of Sam
Okay,
Shear, has
another
that
guy
record.
coach had that record.
Or has it
and
now.
Max was definitely in the ballpark. If we had a good prep, I think it could have happened. It got canceled, so we'll never know. It doesn't really matter because it's an age record. So whenever we can, Max is due to update his platform PRs whenever is convenient for us. He's out of school now, so we have even more ability to full-on commit to a meet prep whenever one might come about. I will at some point eventually. Yeah.
I don't plan on doing a meet for a little while. I have quite a few things that I want to make sure I can guaranteed do on the platform before I compete again. Probably within the next year is my plan. And I am going to try and bully Sam into doing the same meet as me, despite it going to be a shame when he out-totals me.
What happened?
Alright. And I think that was both.
That was both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the YouTube comments. So we're going to start on the one that we keep knocking over the fucking phone at. We, yeah. not I. It's a good question. This was the one that really made me want to do the video with Max instead of waiting for another one to get more questions, because Max is an angst lord. So, is having the mindset of such that if I miss a rep, a family member will die? Is that bad? I've seen some people who are pretty strong do this and are typically minimalist in exercise selection, such as legs, only do squats and deads. Is this helpful or bad? So, I'm going to do what I did the first attempt at this video. I'm just going to answer the second half of your question really quick because I don't think that's the meat and potatoes of the question. I don't think that style of training is specific to that mindset at all. That high specificity training is very popular with a bunch of calm guys as well. You look at someone like Mike T or Bryce Lewis, right? These more cerebral drug tested guys, not the whole my family's gonna die. They also have pretty high specificity in their training. So I wouldn't say that's specific to the mindset, and I wouldn't say it's bad. It can be done at a very high level. It's just a style of training, and I think it is a very, very valid style of training. It's not how Max and I train, and I think a lot of people assume that we are gonna hate on high specificity training. I think it's very valid. You know, I just think that if you can do a bit of accessory work and recover, my mindset has always been, why not? I think you could get a little benefit, but the meat and potatoes is those high specificity lifts anyway. So I don't think those are exclusive. You know, I think that might be just a missed observation, in my opinion. I would almost go so far as to say that the really angsty dudes are the ones killing themselves on more accessories rather than less, but that's just speculation. So as far as the, like, is that do or die, my family member is going to die mindset bad? Max, what do you think?
Depends on how much you care about that family member. But no, I actually have put a lot of thought into this because when I first started lifting, I was like really into like the George Lehman, Pete Rubish, like lifting is all that matters. If you miss a lift, you're nothing. Like your family member's gonna die, all that. And I think that there's a few parts to it, which is one, it kind of comes back to the arousal curve of like some people really, really don't respond well to like being that like amped or like angry or like afraid when going into a lift. And so if it's like damaging your lifts, I like don't do it, obviously. For me personally, I kind of like taught myself to deadlift by like being an angst lord 13-year-old fat kid and like violently trying to jump with a deadlift, which I'm now trying to unlearn. But I think a lot of guys have gotten to a high level doing that, but it seems that they're the guys who also burn out very quickly, and I can't say exactly why, but it seems like that's not a super sustainable thing. It seems like obviously Blaine is the only guy I know of who's really just going ape.
One, I would add to that I don't know because I'm not him, but from every interview I've heard from Blaine is getting fired up, but it's not that in that negative of a way, right? Which is going to tie into, I guess, my answer. My opinion is that it can have value. Like those old George Lehman videos did help a lot of people learn how to actually push themselves. The whole, like, you know, if you finish your set and you hit failure and I put a gun to your head, could you do another rep? If the answer is yes, then you didn't hit failure, right? That kind of like really extremist, like you sound kind of silly. It has its place because I think that so many beginners and intermediates, their biggest issue is they just haven't learned to push themselves. And like if you're in a beginner or intermediate, you're like, I know how to push myself. You don't. I'm not trying to be rude. I didn't when I was your level. To push to true, genuine mechanical failure without, and have the discipline to push to mechanical failure without breakdown takes years and years and years of straining under weights. So there's value to it, but at the same time, I 100% agree with Max that I think that if you use negativity to fuel your training, you generally burn out. You don't see people in this sport for a long time calling on negativity. Most of those guys who are still in it had to change their approach. You know, George Lehman is gone. Pete Rubish is calm now, right? And so it seems like you need to have a more sustainable drive in your training. So calling upon excessive negativity can be a good way to get you through some time, but your life is going to get better at some point, and if you can't transition in your head what drives your training, you're not going to want to train, you know, because if you train because you fucking hate yourself, what happens when you don't hate yourself? Are you going to stop training? More often than not, observationally, the answer seems to be yes. So kind of what Max said is like, if you're someone who's like, oh no, but I benefit from getting fucking angry and wanting to kill myself, learn how to get hyped up almost directionlessly. If you watch Blaine or Ray squat, they're at very high arousal levels, but there isn't a negativity there, which makes it a lot more sustainable, in my opinion. Right? And if this is just what you like about lifting is getting pissed off, is that's okay, you do you. I'm going to warn you that you're going to be prone to burnout. It just, like, whether it's because you're just exhausted of being angry, or it's because your life is better now and you don't have this desire to fucking hurt yourself, right? You need to be able to make that transition at some point, most likely. So I hope that answers your question. We just have a couple more, and because we've done multiple takes of this video, we're going to be a little quick with these answers because we've answered them 4 fucking times. Who eats more calories between you and Max, and who can eat more if you're doing an eating challenge? Okay, my caloric maintenance is probably just a smidge higher than Max's. Max doesn't eat super consistently, but Max could fucking thrash me in a eating contest. What supplements do you use, and can you tell us why each one is beneficial for someone who powerlifts?
I currently don't take any supplements. I have creatine. I should start using it. I just haven't gotten into the habit yet. Most of my money in high school was going to food, and so I didn't really buy a lot of supplements. I'll drink an energy drink before big sessions.
And I'm a bit more meticulous than Max, so I do take some supplements. And on the performance side of things, I just take creatine and caffeine. Those are the two supplements that have clinical research proving they aid in strength training. So especially because creatine specifically is so dirt cheap, it's like $20 for a year's supply from bulk supplements. I just don't see a reason not to for a strength athlete. And then I take a myriad of health supplements, which I assume I don't have to explain to you just because they are for health. I take, let's see, vitamin D, I take K2, I take fish oil, garlic extract, curcumin, ubiquitol, and CoQ10. Or if those might be the same thing. I have no fucking clue. But yeah, basically just general health subs. Being heavier is advantageous for lifting a lot of weight and not so advantageous for your health. So, little steps you can take to try to preserve your health and keep in the game longer are probably good steps. Do you think Max will be stronger than you one day? What were your numbers when you were Max's age? A lot less, because I was 100 pounds less and had been lifting for 1 year. If I were to guess, right around that time, I was probably at like 500 squat, 350 bench, maybe 365 by that point. And I want to say about 580 pull. So significantly less than Max, but I have my excuses. Realistically, will Max out total me? I think he'll out deadlift me. He's well on pace to do that, but I think that I will out bench him for life, and I think that I will out squat him and out total him. Max, what do you think?
It is a sad, sad reality that I also think that Sam will out bench me for the rest of my life. That being said, I think I'm going to out total Sam. I'm waiting for the day that I put 100 pounds on my total. It's going to happen.
More.
Doesn't matter. I think I'm going to beat Sam in the long run. It's going to take a while to catch up, though.
Yeah. No, Max does have a notable advantage in the size of his frame. That's something that's very real. I'm just going to get fat as fuck, and it won't no longer be an advantage.
And I also am going to get even larger, and it will be an advantage.
So, once again, that's all of the questions. I hope we did a reasonable job. I assume these will get better. It's just a little bit weird for me to do this with Max now, after having done them by myself. But if you have any questions for either of us, leave them in the comments of this one.